Body territory is a concept and a decolonial methodology developed by indigenous and communitarian feminists from Bolivia and Ecuador. It has developed towards different contexts and disciplines, primarily informed and supported by feminist approaches that range from geography to activism, social sciences, and the arts. The concept of body territory has contributed to the academic conversations regarding territory by introducing an embodied and gendered approach. As a dance researcher, I situate my interest in the meeting between territory, the body, and movement. I designed the workshop sessions considering the body territory methodology proposed by Latin American practitioners. I then reimagined other approaches specifically for this context. Each session was an exploration in itself, singular and alive, and part of my role as a researcher was to listen to what the practice was teaching me. For the first workshop, the focus was to explore our understanding of what makes a territory. First, I invited participants to visualize a territory or a place they wanted to work with. Think of a territory you want to work with today. It can be a place you inhabit, where you transit, somewhere that is meaningful to you, that you miss, that you left behind, or that is present. What parts of your body lights up when you think about this place? Imagine your body as a constellation, and those parts are stars shining through your surface. What is that territory like? After this visualization process, I invited participants to transition into the body mapping practice. This task consisted in translating the previous experience of remembering and moving to a piece of paper. Where in your body do you feel the connection or the memory of your relationship with this territory? Is that feeling static and situated, or is it transiting through your body? Where in your body do you feel when you recall being outside or distant from this territory? As an ending to this session, I placed a long paper roll on the studio's edge and suggested we sit around it. I wanted to acknowledge the theoretical foundations of this methodology and bridge the practice of body territory to this specific context. After sharing the theory, I invited everyone to join the conversation by sharing their experience, share views, and listen to each other's ideas and questions. I proposed that while listening to other people speak, we could register our impressions in the paper so a collective mapping would occur while people were talking. What you see here are some images taken from this collaborative map. I named this last section The Practice as Territory and consider this map a trace of a collective thinking process. For the second workshop, I was inspired by the work of the Turkish architect Aslihan Senel entitled Mapping as Performing Place. She says, mapping is a process in which the maker reveals her view and acknowledges other possible views. If the body is a territory, can the map be a way of exposing its multiplicity? I invited participants to form pairs. The structure for this task, entitled Mapping Each Other, involved a witness, a mover, and a blank piece of paper. The invitation was that one person would move and the other person would map their experience as a witness. What are we mapping and why? What comes to our attention? What happens to us when we witness someone else's movement? What aspect of ourselves is present in our maps?
So like the blue and the grey are quite like solid seeming forms on the page, but then I was thinking of like the internal, like the orange, like, you know, there's the kind of outward kind of solid thing, but then inside there's all these like other networks that maybe they're a bit, you know, because I wouldn't say that witnessing you didn't, obviously you're physically like solid to an extent, but like there was also something, even though it seemed very like certain or conscious, there was still like a kind of soft kind of inquiry thing going on. And so the orange is kind of not necessarily mapping what you were doing, but more maybe like imagining the internal, like the inferior surface is or something. But then also things like, yeah, like where your feet were in different places, or like where you were contacting the ground.
When we move, wherever we go, we bring our stories and our experiences with us, like invisible traces that form part of who we are. For this last workshop, I felt I still had to explore ways of creating a shared sense of territory together. Guided by the metaphor that identities are collective achievements and not individual, I invited participants to think about a pathway or route that was meaningful to them. Then, with colored tape, we mapped them as lines on the studio's floor, creating a network of crossings, lines, turns, and directions. These lines across the floor represented the first layer of sharing and acknowledging each other's path. Afterwards, we transitioned into the next section that was guided by the question, how to create a common territory? The invitation was to make a collective map that could reveal ways of inhabiting our present territory, our movement, and our passing through. That could imprint all of us in different forms, positions, and possibilities together. And that could reveal that within our individuality, others are present, vibrating within us. Can mapping serve as a way of renaming ourselves, of emancipating by tracing our own territories? Can a map help us rethink ourselves from a non-hierarchical place by revealing the relational quality of our being in the world? Can movement serve as a way of entering the experience of being in relation with, of sensing our inner topography and allowing us to create a common territory? We know and create our territories insofar as we move through them.